Okay. The Red Bank Zoning Board of Adjustment will come to order this 19th day of March 2026. Time is 6:30. Roll call, please.
Ann Torrey, absent. Ray Mass.
Here.
Craig Fitzgerald, absent. Jonathan Gilday.
Here.
Ann Cruz, absent. Vincent Light.
Here.
Paul Cagno. Eugene Horowitz.
Here.
Chris Havens.
Here.
Dorothy Cirillo. Here. And that's it. Yep.
Okay. In accordance with New Jersey law, this meeting notice has been published in the Asbury Park Press and the Two River Times and is available on the municipal website and the New Jersey Secretary of State's website. It is also posted on the municipal bulletin board. The meeting complies with the Open Public Meeting Act and will be tape recorded. If the applicant chooses to use a court reporter to transcribe the recordings, the board requires a copy of the transcript. The break will occur around 8 p.m. in the conference room on the first floor. The public is welcome to attend, but discussions with board members will not be allowed. No new case will be heard after 9 p.m. and the cutoff time is 9:30 p.m. Any applicants not heard will be rescheduled for next meeting. Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, a couple administrative matters. We have a meeting minutes from March 5th. Anybody like to make a motion to approve? I'll second.
Sean, I did have one itsy bitsy correction there. In the meeting attendance, Rebecca Flynn, you hadn't marked either absent or present, so.
That's because she hasn't been sworn in yet. Yeah.
Then I don't have any corrections.
Okay, new business. We have 40 Riverside Avenue.
Mr. Chairman, as the applicant teams come forward, we'll just do a couple of administrative things. First up, did anyone here have any questions, comments, or concerns regarding the sufficiency of the notice they received? All right, we don't see any. The board secretary and I reviewed the notice and found everything to be in order, so it would be my humble opinion that we have jurisdiction to proceed tonight. And what we'll do is we'll swear in Shauna Ebanks, planner and our director of community development, and also Jacqueline Derman, our board engineer. So Shauna and Jackie, if you could raise your right hands, do you both swear that the information and testimony you're about to provide, to the extent you provide any, will be the truth to the best of your knowledge to help you God? Let the record reflect both witnesses have been sworn. And Mr. Chairman, what we'll do is we will mark into the record what we as a board have before us. So A1 is the application package. A2 is the preliminary and final site plans prepared by Colliers Engineering and Design dated December 23rd, 2025, 15 sheets. A3, the architectural and landscape plans prepared by Design Generations LLC dated December 15th, 2025, 3 sheets. A4 is the concept plan and renderings of the pavilion, promenade and pavilion prepared by Colliers Engineering, and that's undated. A5, stormwater management statement prepared by Colliers Engineering dated December 23rd, 2025. A6, the environmental impact report, Colliers Engineering and Design dated December 23rd, 2025. A7 is a submission letter prepared by John Junko, the attorney, dated January 13th, 2026. A8, the intent to proceed dated January 12th, 2026. A9 is the disclosure of ownership form. A10 is the land development escrow agreement. A11 is the denial of application prepared by Shauna, and that's dated October 20th, 2025. A12 is the bulk variance request list dated December 23rd, 2025. A13 is the design waiver request list dated December 23rd, 2025. A14 is the submission waiver request list dated December 23rd, 2025. A15 is a project description and / narrative. And I guess last but not least, we'll mark as A16 is the T&M Associates Review Memorandum dated March 12th, 2026. So what we're going to do is we'll turn this over to John Junko. Mr. Junko is an attorney who's been before us before. And then, Mr. Junko, as I understand it, with corporate applicants, we usually do a little bit of a disclosure to make sure we have no known conflicts with any of the principles of the entity. But as I understand and reading the corporate disclosure, your entity is a nonprofit corporation and there's no 10% shareholders per se.
Correct.
Okay. So that having been said, good evening and welcome.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, John Junko appearing on behalf of the applicant. And as Kevin has identified, we've submitted an application for an existing facility. This is the Spring Point facility located at 40 River Street. In any event, this application is seeking to add improvements to the site. It is not proposing any additional units. The number of residents and is the same, and this is designed to add amenities to the project to serve those residents. And those amenities are on a deck that faces the river, and it includes the a pavilion, fire pits, seating areas, and basically some walk areas and plantings to make it comfortable. There's also an addition proposed to a previously approved dock or marina that had 4 slips approved, and now we'll seek to expand that to 20 slips. There's an application now pending at NJDEP for that project, and it has been declared complete and is being reviewed for approval. What we would like to do tonight is I have 3 witnesses to present. Our civil engineer is Anthony Calvano, who's right here. Then Jack Kramer, is our architect, and Andrew Janu is our planner. So this project seeks a number of variances, many of which are related to the existence of the building. However, the board has in the past recognized that this facility is an inherently beneficial use to the community in the prior resolutions. I would expect that that continues, but our planner will address that issue to support it. But it hasn't changed. It remains a nonprofit business and continues to serve the same basic population of senior citizens. So with your permission, I would like to call Anthony Calvano, ask him to be sworn. I'll ask him to present his credentials and then present his testimony.
Okay.
Anthony?
All right, good evening. If you could just state your name and spell your last name and state your address.
Supposed to have this.
Anthony Calvano, Colliers Engineering Design, 101 Crawford's Corner Road, Suite 3400 in Homedale.
Before you start your testimony,
All right, good evening and welcome. Do you swear that the information and testimony you're about to provide will be the truth, the best of your knowledge, so help you God?
I do.
And just for the record, you're testifying tonight in your capacity as a licensed,
Professional engineer.
okay, and just for the record, your licenses, qualifications, certifications are current, up to date, and in good standing?
Yes, they are.
Thank you.
okay.
Can you give us a little background? So,
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a graduate of the New Jersey Institute of Technology with a bachelor's in civil engineering. I've been at Colliers Engineering Design, formerly Mazer Consulting, for approximately 10 years now, working on site plans and related civil engineering work. And I've been licensed in the state of New Jersey for approximately 5 years.
Have you appeared before other boards in New Jersey as an expert witness?
Yes, I have.
okay, thank you.
That is okay.
Good.
So you're accepted now as an expert, and couple of basic questions. Did you or others under your direction prepare the plans and exhibits that have been submitted to this board in support of the application?
Yes.
Okay. So we all know where the property is, but for purposes of the record, could you advise as to address and lots and block?
Yes, and I'm gonna just put up aerial exhibit, so I think,
Now, all the exhibits, if I may, Mr. Chairman, all the exhibits you're going to present were prepared by you or others under your direction for presentation this evening. Is that correct?
that's correct.
Right.
John, should I mark these exhibits that you're bringing up? Okay, so I guess we're up to A17, and what is A17?
So it's gonna, aerial exhibit,
Got it.
with today's date,
Got it.
March 19th.
This has today's date on it?
Correct.
A17 is an aerial exhibit.
Okay, and,
This is a 17.
yep, and we're also gonna
You
have.
want to mark them all now, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, and so this one I don't think needs to be marked. This was from the site.
Let's mark it in case
Okay.
you want to refer to it.
Okay, well, so this is from the site plan, which was A2, it's sheet. We're actually gonna use this
3.1.
one, sheet 3.00, the overall dimension plan.
Thank you.
Kevin, Mr. Kennedy, do you want to mark this as two exhibits, one each sheet?
Is it what, front and back, or, all right, yeah, A18, and we'll do the
Front
next
and
one,
back.
A19. And what is A19 site plan sheet?
The overall dimension plan is exhibit A18. And the dimension plan 3.01 is exhibit 19.
Perfect.
Okay, and then we're also going to be showing what was previously submitted as A4, the concept plan and rendering, prepared by Colliers and undated.
Undated. So that'll be A20.
Okay. Oops.
And then on the other side at the last one, so this is going to be a landscape rendering,
Prepared by,
prepared by Design for Generations LLC.
and is there a date on it?
March 15th.
Thank you. That'll be A21.
I got a quick question for you. Is there anywhere on that plan where the designated right of way goes that you have to provide along the river?
Okay, I think you're referring to the access easement and,
Yeah.
and yes, that there is an existing access easement as,
No, the access easement is an easement that benefits our site. They're talking about the river walk.
right, public access
Public
easement.
access,
Yep,
correct.
yep, so the public access easement that was previously approved under the prior application, it remains, it's going to be unmodified as part of this application.
If I may ask one question on it, does any of this application affect that in any way?
No,
And it is, if I can report to the board, it is of record. It's a recorded easement.
right.
Okay.
So I'm going to be referring to right now A17, which is the aerial exhibit. So just to orient the property we're talking about here, it's 40 Riverside Avenue, known as Block 7, lots 12.03 and 12.04. Where 12.03 is the main lot with the improvements, and 12.04 is a riparian grant lot. But it's all under common ownership and as part of this application. Lot 12.03 is approximately 1.9 acres, and the riparian lot 12.04 is approximately half an acre. The property is bounded, as you can see, by the Navesink River to the north, residential apartment communities to the west and the east, and then Riverside Avenue to the south. The site is within the waterfront development WD zone, where the existing, as Mr. Junko alluded to previously, The senior living facility is a pre-existing non-conforming use, which was previously approved by the board. And as part of this application, which I'll get into, a marina as defined by the Red Bank ordinance is proposed, and that's a conditional use in the zone.
Move the mic up closer.
I apologize.
There you go.
And I'll run through the conditional use requirements that are met for this project for the marina use. So I'm now going to refer to A18, which is the overall dimension plan, sheet 3.00 from the submitted site plan set. There's two aspects of the project. So the first is a reconstruction of an existing bulkhead and promenade area. The bulkhead is going to be fully reconstructed as well as the promenade and amenity area. As part of the reconstruction of the promenade and the amenity area, there's a proposed pavilion, which is approximately 1,800 square feet, 30 feet by 60 feet. The capacity of the pavilion, based on the information submitted, there's dining areas, there's lounging areas, and there's also a grill, with kind of tabletop seating area. The capacity is approximately 80 people. In addition to the pavilion, as is currently out there, there's going to be outdoor walkways, outdoor seating, and as Mr. Carmen will get into with the landscaping, generously, landscape garden area for the residents. The second aspect of this application is what's considered the marina. So you can see to the north going into the river. So there is an existing pier and floating dock on the site. So the proposal is to reconstruct the pier as well as the floating dock. And the marina is submitted to the board as a two-phase application. So the first phase is the first, what I'll kind of call the H of the floating dock. So
If I may, it's one application. What we're asking for is the board acknowledge, if the board finds it worthy of approval, you designate, we want to do the dock expansion in two phases. Now that the client may change that at the time of construction and do it all at once, but they'd like permission to do two phases of the additional docks. There are 4 there now and 16 are proposed.
right. So the first phase would be 4 boat slips, and the second phase would add 16 for a total of 20 boat slips.
Well, while you're on the dock, would you advise the board as to how someone would get there today, and is that route being modified?
No. So the route to the riverfront is from Riverside Avenue on the south side of the building, existing sidewalk that comes down the southern property line, comes up to the west, and, essentially into the promenade area.
I was
And,
actually referring to the residents who wanted to go to use the docks.
okay, I apologize for that. Yes. So
Didn't ask you a good question.
So there's no modification to the building as part of this application. So they're going to come out the rear side, or the river side, which is the north side of the building, to access the promenade area.
And
And-
the docks are limited to residents.
That's correct. So the
Question, are the boat slips exclusively for residents?
yes.
Okay.
Okay, and then just to reiterate, there is no proposed expansion of the building itself here, so the unit count and those associated operational features, there is no modification as part of this application. As I mentioned, the marina is a conditional use in the zone, so I'm just going to quickly run through the conditional use standards to show that we are complying fully with those standards. So the first,
Just give the board the section, the ordinance number for the record.
yeah, so this is ordinance 490-125. And the first condition is with regard, I'm going to paraphrase this one, but it's with regard to principal and accessory structures associated with the marina use. That's not applicable here because the pier and the floating dock are essentially standalone. The pavilion and the promenade area are not specifically associated with or, necessary for the marina. So that condition would be not applicable to our situation. In addition, condition B is with regard to boat storage and display. So there will not be any boat storage or display associated with this marina. It's strictly for berthing boats in the river. Item C is with regard to launching facilities. Again, this is not applicable. There is no launching facility proposed. The boats would be accessing the berths from the river. Item D is with regard to adequate utilities. So we are complying with that, and there will be electric, for hooking up the boats as well as lighting. To the floating dock, there will be water service for wash down to the floating dock, and there will also be a pump out for the boats at the floating dock. Item E is with regard to, again, outdoor storage, utilizing parking areas. That's not proposed here. That's not applicable because outdoor storage of the boats is not proposed on the site. The minimum upland lot area is 15,000 square feet. The site complies. It's approximately 83,700 square feet. The last condition is with regard to signs, and that's, again, not applicable here because there are no signs proposed in association with the marina. So that kind of sets the stage as far as what's proposed here. As Mr. Junko alluded to, there are a few bulk variances that are being requested here in this application. The first one is with regard to parking quantity. So there are 162 parking spaces currently, and just referring back to the A17, which is the aerial exhibit. Under common ownership with the senior living facility is, I'm just going to get the lot and block numbers. So block 7, lot 16, which is this lot here to the east of the site, on the other side of the apartment building. That's under common ownership and is utilized for parking for the senior living facility, as well as block 6, lot 11.01, which is across the street at the corner of Pearl Street and Riverside Avenue, again, under common ownership with the senior living facility.
In fact, that
utilize.
Serves the residents of the project.
That's correct. And there's no proposed modifications to existing parking supply. Similarly, as I mentioned before, that, there's no proposed modifications to the unit count. So 162 are proposed on site, and then in those off-site lots under common ownership. Whereas with the full marina build out, the 20 slips, 168 parking spaces will be required. And that was, an additional 10 parking spaces required by ordinance. So that's necessitating the variance in this case is the marina. But as I mentioned previously, the marina is going to be used solely by residents. So it's not anticipated that any additional parking demand would be generated. It's just an additional amenity for the residents.
Just to clarify, you have 162 spaces in the site now, and before this addition, you required 158, if I correct?
Yeah. See if I have that on here. I think it was 160.
160.
Yes.
There were 2 additional spaces already in place, However, the additional 10 spaces that would be applicable because of the additional dockage, we request a variance from that requirement. The ordinance would require 168, but because the reason for the additional spaces is the dock, and the dock can only be owned by residents, that parking spaces are already accounted for. And that is the difference between what's on site of 162 and the requirement of 168.
And you said no boats would be parked in
Boats
any of the
will not-
parking lots anywhere?
That's
Or
correct.
stored? Okay.
Correct. No storage.
No boats or boat trailers, any of it. The part of our client has of course, agreements with all of the residents, and that's made clear that if they have, those that want to have their boat there have to provide off-site winter storage, et cetera. And by the way, no service at the site either
Okay.
for the boats.
Jackie, yeah.
This on. I just wanted to clarify, our letter on page 5, we might have a typo. So on phase 1, you're providing 4 boat slips, correct?
That's correct.
And then on phase 2, 16, not 20, is that right?
Right. So it's 16 additional for a total of 20. Yep.
Okay, so by my calculation, then that's 2 plus, it should be 8 spaces for phase 2 that's required instead of 10 on page 5 of our report.
So ultimately, the required total is 166?
I think it would still be the 10 required to be 8 extra. So phase 1 with the 4 slips at half a space per boat slip, you would be at two required spaces. And then with the 20 total, at the half, you would be at 10, spaces would be the requirement.
But isn't your phase, am I confused? I'm sorry. What? 160, wait, what, I'm sorry, what, it's 16 on the phase 2, correct? 16 boat slips on phase 2.
16 additional, so 16 plus the original 4 for 20 total boat slips.
20 total boat slips. So if 16 times 0.5 is 8. So 10 total for the boat slips.
Yes, 10 in the fully built condition of 20 slips, it would be a required parking of 10 spaces associated with the marina use.
Okay, so the total would be,
It had 4 in the prior approval. 6. You had 4 spaces in the prior approval because the original 4 docks were in that approval.
Right, but I don't think that changes the fact. The total of 20.
Right, but that's what the confusion is.
Okay.
it's still 168?
Yes.
Okay. All right, you can continue. I'll just double back on the map.
I'm sorry, I'm just a little confused on the math. It's gonna be 168 total parking spaces.
Required.
Okay, and how many are there now?
They're 162.
But I thought you said there are 10 additional.
That's correct.
Help me with the math.
Because the requirement was 160. We had 162. The requirement for the 20, for that would be 10 additional spaces. So we would need 10 spaces over 160 to 170. We have 162. We're seeking a variance for those 8 spaces.
Thank you.
And that those spaces are required for the users of the dock.
Yeah,
But
no,
the
I
users
get
are
that.
already in the building and they're accounted for within the 162.
I was just confused about the math. Thank you.
Okay.
I apologize for the confusion on that, but if there's any question,
Just
be
keep
happy to
going.
clarify.
You've noticed this board is not shy. They'll ask you what they want to know.
Yeah, it's
So-
correct. 168. Math is, it was a typo in our letter, but your math is correct.
Okay.
It's
all right.
168.
Thank you.
So, all right, so 168 is required and they're proposing, Jackie,
162.
got it.
Thank
But now,
you.
John, just so dumb, math is not my song. So if it's 168 required and 162, that's 6 space variance? I thought you just said 8, so I just want to make sure.
Yes.
Okay, so 6 space, got it. Thank you.
Thank you. So the next variance that is being sought is with regard to, I'm going to switch back here to the A18, which is the overall dimension plan. So as I mentioned, a pavilion is proposed, approximately 1,800 square feet. Under the Red Bank ordinance, that's considered a principal structure due to the size being greater than 500 square feet. And therefore, there are, the next 2 variances are associated with that. So the first one I'm going to cover is the setback, and then the second one is lot coverage, which is essentially a building or a structure coverage is how it should be thought about. Starting with the rear setback, so there's a 2-prong requirement to the setback. One of them is to the actual property line, and one of them is to the flood hazard line. So in this case, we're seeking a variance for the setback to the flood hazard line. This pavilion, the entire promenade area is within a flood hazard area. So the setback is, essentially 0. So we're requesting a variance, whereas 35 feet is proposed from the flood hazard area. If the flood hazard area wasn't there, the setback would otherwise be met from the property line. So accounting for both lots, so to the rear line of lot 12.04, the setback would be 179.7 feet. And then the setback to 12.03, if you were excluding the riparian lot, which is out in the river, it would still be 72.6, which would meet the setback requirement of 35 feet. So we're meeting it to the property line, but we're requesting a variance due to the flood hazard criteria and the setback requirement.
Does that pavilion have heating and air conditioning?
It's an open walled structure.
All
So
open?
yeah, it's a-
Under, if I may, our planner will address this, but the ordinance, because it has a roof, it is considered a building, a
Right.
structure. It is basically a pavilion, a canopy for people, so that
Okay.
that the residents have a place to go out of the sun. If they're barbecue or whatever, they would be in the, I'm making
It's got no walls.
pictures with my hands, but
Has-
basically,
has no walls.
it's just no walls.
That's correct. Yeah, and actually, just to, clarify that point is, I'm referring to 820 now, the rendering conceptual plan. So you can see this is an elevation view. So looking at it from the side of the pavilion, and you can see it's, open walled structure, with just a roof.
Mr. Chairman, a lot of this deck area was designed by our landscape architect, Jack Harmon, who will be the next witness. So we'll get the better detail about that from Jack in terms of the design and the thinking and
Okay,
what it's intended to do.
great, thank you.
And access to the dining area would only be for residents?
Yes, well, I believe residents can have a guest, but it's not, it's apparently that's not a real big activity at the residence. So it is for residents. If they have a guest or a family member, they can of course go throughout the facility and they can go out on the deck and.
But it's not open to
the.
the public.
Yeah, but it's not open to the public. And no part of it is open to the public, either be residents or their guests.
Can I ask a quick question? Do you have any other photographs that depict the new boat slips that you're going to have there? I see some depicted on the upper left-hand corner of the bottom photograph. Do you have perhaps a better photograph that shows how far out these new slips are gonna go?
So not in rendered form. But if I refer back to A18, which is the overall dimension plan, it gives a perspective here of the length of the floating dock.
Yeah, and there's some boat slips to the right of that, up to your rendering, right?
Right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's an existing slip area that's associated with a different property.
Right. And then what is the distance to Maple Cove from there? Are you familiar with that cove?
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
What is the distance from your new dock with the new slips to Maple Cove? Are you familiar with where Maple Cove is? On Riverside Avenue?
I'm not.
Okay.
Is that the adjacent?
It's a few more lots down to the right.
Okay.
It's one of the only launch access sites for the public in town here, where people can use private kayaks and stand-up paddleboards and things like that.
Okay, I'm
Yeah,
not.
It's by the
Would be
library.
right to the.
Right where your finger is.
Right
just
where your
about.
finger is. That's a public launch for smaller, not boats, but for kayaks
and
and
so
stand-up paddleboards and stuff like that. So you want to put another 16 boats to the left of that marina there that has how many boat slips there? Is it over 20?
Yeah, I would say approximately 20.
And then the other marinas to the left, there's two more, and how many boat slips? Like another 50 boat slips?
Combined from the two of them, I would say approximately.
Okay, thank you.
So. Yes,
What's the dimension of the slips, Anthony?
yes. Just give me 1 second to confirm. So there are two sizes, so I'm referring to A19, which is the dimension plan. So the eastern are 24-foot long slips and the western side are 40-foot long slips.
And so a 40-foot long slip can accommodate a 40-foot boat? And a 24-foot slip can accommodate a 24-foot boat?
Yes.
Okay.
How many residents there today have boats?
How many designated
How many residents today there have boats?
180? No, residents.
Yeah, that's.
Okay. This,
And do you have a feel for how many would actually request a slip?
I mean, we can swear him in if we want.
Or we can wait later if you want to provide testimony later.
stand up.
All right, if you could just state your name and address, please.
Michael LaCurcio. I'm actually the Corporate Director of Project Planning and Facilities Management for Spring Point. The address is
Okay.
the
Hold on, I'm sorry,
Oh.
Michael, spell your last name?
LOCURCIO,
And corporate director,
Project Planning and Facilities Management.
Facilities management.
for the applicant. All right. If you could just raise your right hand, do you swear that the information and testimony you're about to provide will be the truth, to the best of your knowledge, to help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Mike, first question was, how many residents have boats today?
So no residents have boats today, but the question was how many do we perceive might have an interest? So my experience with the community and walking around and talking to residents, a significant amount of them had boats before they became residents, but had to sell them, give them to family members, and get rid of their boats because they had no place to bring it. So we're hoping they'll either purchase boats, bring them in, or we're going to be marketing towards, the clients and bringing them in and providing either a deeded slip with an apartment when they get it, or if it's a separate rental, we're not sure, but we're pretty confident that we're going to be able to attract new residents who have boats. I actually think it's going to be a great marketing aspect of the community.
So is part of your proposal maybe having a boat that any of the residents might be able to rent? For a day?
We want, so there's currently a pontoon boat that the community operates. But, and I'll be honest with you, I'm not involved with how they operate that, but I believe we have our own captain and the residents sign up for a day trip or something and he takes out, several different residents, but they don't operate that themselves.
But let me ask you the last question. In your market studies, you've determined that there's a market or demand for this type of living.
Yes.
Boats.
Yes.
Thank you. So the last variance, the last bulk variance, again, associated with the pavilion, as I mentioned, it's considered a primary structure. So it adds to the lot coverage, which in this case, again, it should really be viewed as a building coverage, structure coverage, because that's what it's measuring. So we're proposing a lot coverage with the additional pavilion of 40.7% of the lot, whereas 38.1% is existing, and the maximum permitted is 35%.
Anthony, with regard to the site, are all of the site new developments ADA compliant?
Yes.
Now, with regard to the utilities that are going to be placed on the deck, what do you anticipate to go on deck?
Right. So the utilities are going to be fed from the building. So it's going to be electric to both the pavilion and the floating dock, water to both the pavilion and the floating dock. And then there's going to be, as I mentioned, a pump out for the boats on the floating dock, as well as there's a sink area associated with the pavilion. So that's going to have a sanitary sewer line that we're proposing an in-ground, underground pump station to get that back up to the front of the site and tie into the existing gravity line that's coming out of the building.
Has your design included fire protection for the pavilion and the docks?
Fire protection will be provided as required by the fire code. Currently, we're anticipating it's likely going to be limited to essentially portable extinguishers. But should our MEP engineer determine that the code requires something more, we're going to provide that, and we're going to meet the code of the state of New Jersey.
And of course, this plan will comply with the Red Bank fire officials' requirements.
Yes.
Okay. Now, with regard to the unoccupied open space, could you describe what's available and how you calculated it?
Yes. So the unoccupied open space is per the ordinance requirements. It's very similar to impervious versus pervious coverage calculation, but there are a few nuances where some even pervious coverage, so a grassed area, if it's too small in a parking lot, it doesn't count towards the definition of unoccupied open space. However, our project is, as I mentioned, solely contained within the promenade in the rear. So it's all pedestrian areas. And as we understand the definition of unoccupied open space, the all pervious area in that section of the site would count towards that definition. And we are maintaining the coverage. So we're moving some sidewalks around and moving some landscape areas around, but the net we're maintaining coverage. So existing proposed coverage is, existing and proposed unoccupied open space is 25.3%. It remains unchanged, and the required minimum is 15%. So we're over that requirement.
Could you also describe the proposed trees and shrubs, and is that in compliance with the municipal ordinance?
Yes. So looking at the area of the project on the promenade, we calculated there was 5,445 square feet of unoccupied open space in the promenade and the adjacent walkway that's included within the limit of disturbance of the project. And within that area, the ordinance requires 1 tree and 2 shrubs per 250 square feet. So with that area, it comes to 22 trees are required and 44 shrubs are required. And the proposal includes 29 trees and 140 shrubs. So meeting that requirement within the limit of the proposed project.
And Mr. Carmen will present that landscape plan to you. Can you describe the hours of operation?
Yes, so this is a residential community, so it's essentially 24/7. If the residents want to go out, for a midnight walk, they're going to do that because this is, analogous to their backyard, the promenade area that is. So it's a 24/7. And as I mentioned previously, the pavilion area is going to have approximately 80 seats. And the other amenities as well. There'll be lighting, pole and foot lighting that that will be available for safety of the residents for their use of the property.
What are the operating hours, Doc?
So there's not there's not a proposed restriction on that. So it's going to be, essentially again, up to the residents of how they utilize that amenity.
You mentioned there'll be 24/7 access to the pavilion area and
Yeah.
there'll be lighting there. And are
Yes,
there
and it
any
will be lit.
controls?
Throughout as it is today.
Sure.
If I may, there's 24-hour lighting now on the promenade because the residents can go and walk on that today if they so choose. I've been advised by some of the operators there that there are not a lot of people floating around that late, but it is available if someone likes it. That would continue because that's part of the what is agreed to between the resident and the owners. And it's part of the amenity package. So the lighting, there will be lighting on the deck. And how is that lighting screened? I think you kind of talked about that already.
Yeah, so there's both pole mounted and I'll call it foot level lighting. The foot level lighting is self-explanatory. It's down. It's mostly going to be screened by the plants to a certain extent. The pole mounted lighting is LED, high efficiency lighting. We are proposing decorative marine themed fixtures just to go along with the promenade area, to keep that display of the promenade area, the aesthetics. And as I mentioned, those are LED, they're downward directed. So they're not your older type of fixture where there's a light bulb hanging out and then it's going to be, coming out the sides. The LEDs are up in the top and they're directed down from those pole mounted decorative lighting.
Yeah, my question did pertain to lighting control. And so the downward answers part of that because the Red Bank Master Plan calls for a dark sky strategy. And so does the downward lighting satisfy those requirements?
Yes.
Okay. And are there any, you said the lighting's already existing, right? And so could you tell me, are there existing controls for like dimming or after certain hours or motion sensors where lights will be dim and then become brighter when residents walk by?
So yes, there will be the ability to control them. Currently, some of them are solar and they're motion activated. But as I mentioned, it's not there's not going to be a hard requirement. It's going to be kind of at the feedback of the community as kind of as I mentioned, this is kind of their backyard. So how they want the lighting. It'll be tailored to the feedback from the community, but there will be an ability to control based on that feedback.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Now, with regard to the review letter, are there any other issues?
You know, John, I don't think the mic's picking you up. Sorry. Oh, it is? Got it. All right.
Hello?
No.
Sorry. Okay, this was hidden here. I didn't quite think, I thought I was speaking into it, sorry. Right. Are there any other, with regard to the review letters, are there any other issues that you want to discuss with the board? Or are you able to comply with the remaining requirements?
So, yes, we will be able to comply with the remaining requirements of the March 12th letter from T&M Associates.
Have you made an application to Monmouth County Planning Board?
Yes,
Have you gotten a decision?
yes, and an approval in the form of a letter of no interest.
Likewise, have you applied to Creole Soils?
Yes,
And have you received a certification from them?
yes, site plan certification
So
has been
so
received.
Soils and County have already been applied for and approved. And do you have applications pending at NJDEP?
Yes,
And they've gone through the initial review?
I'm not sure about. Yes,
Yes, what I'm calling the platform, that extends beyond the building. The size of that is going to change or not change?
no, so it's it's an existing bulkhead and it's going to be replaced in kind, at the same location.
What is the area south of the structure? Right in there? All that move your hand towards yourself?
Here.
No, within the line. What's all that? That's open platform?
So I'm just gonna go from the bulkhead to the property line. So directly to the south of the bulkhead
Yeah.
is a wooden pier, so piles and
Oh,
wood.
so that's not a platform structure.
No, and to the south of the bulkhead, this is actually
Yeah.
conservation easement that's proposed to remain as part of this
Gotcha.
project. It's
I
not
see.
being
It
modified.
might be helpful if you just identify the river's edge.
Yeah, so the river's edge is approximately at the line of the northern extent of the pavilion. So if you extend that down, that's approximately the water line, approximately.
So
Any other questions from the board?
Where is the Riverwalk easement on your drawing?
Right, so the easement starts at Riverside Avenue. It extends along the southerly property line, following the property line, and then it turns and is I believe it terminates in this area of the conservation easement, so it comes down and it provides access to this path and the conservation easement.
Okay, any other questions from the board?
Just another question about the floating pier. How far out does it go again, and how does it compare to the properties to the west and east that have docks as well?
So if you just give me 1 second, I'm just going to take one measurement from the bulkhead, just to add that up, and then I'll give you an answer on that. So the bulkhead isn't exactly square with the river, but it's approximately 300 feet from the bulkhead to where the furthest point of the full build out, the 20 slip docks will be.
And how does that compare to the properties on the east and the west?
So, referring to A19, so it's approximately to the east.
No, I meant comparing to the marinas on the east of the property and the marina on the west.
Yeah, use the,
How
other-
does,
North and south.
use the other picture.
well, east and west.
Yes, use the overall exhibit,
The next door neighbors,
Use
marina.
the area.
Go to A7.
Right. Yeah, and I will answer that question. So you can see from here, this one is shown on this plan. It's going to be a little more accurate. So I'll give you this one and then I'll look at the aerial. So, the proposed 300 feet compared to the marina that is directly to the south, the marina directly to the south is approximately 75 feet, less.
Longer
No,
or
less. So 300 feet is our proposed. The one to the east is approximately 75 feet less. So if you're measuring from the same point, that's
So
approximately
you'll stick out a little
225.
bit further.
The proposed 20 slip will, yes.
Okay, and how do you compare on the other side as well?
Okay, so this is A17, the aerial exhibit. And just bear with me for 1 minute. So to the west, that's approximately 325 feet from the existing bulkhead to the point furthest into the river. So comparable to the proposal.
The adjoining, the two boat docks that the board member asked about, do they start at the same point from the river's edge, or are they closer?
Yeah, I'm not sure it's directly comparable. I'm just going from the bulkhead because the river is kind of curving as you're going east. So you're not really measuring from a common line. So just, the most common I think we can get is from the location of the bulkhead. So as I mentioned, the proposal is approximately 300 feet from the bulkhead to the south. That's approximately 225 feet, and then to the north, that was to the east. To the east is approximately 225 feet, and then to the west is approximately 325 feet.
And are there other boat slips as well, further to the left of your lot? We see the two bulkheads currently, or the two docks with about 25 boats each, and then further on past that, are there in fact more docks with more boats? That's the Molly Pitcher, right? The Molly Pitcher has boat slips too. I mean, I'm trying to get a feel of the number of boat slips that we already have in this small area of the Navesink River, right? Because boats can't continue down the Navesink River much further because there's a lower bridge. And certainly a 40-foot boat can't continue down in that direction. They have to come out of your slip and make a right past Maple Cove, right? And continue down towards Rumson into Sandy Hook area, right? Shrewsbury River.
Shrewsbury.
So I'm trying to get a feel how many boats we currently have there. Do you have any idea?
I do not currently.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I have no other questions for Anthony if the board is
Well-
finished.
Anybody else from the board? Anybody from the public have a question for this witness? I don't see any. We'll close that. Get on to your next
I have a
witness.
witness, Jack Carmen, please.
Next one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. If you could just state your name, please.
Jack Carman, Carman.
Put the mic up to you now.
And do you, for your business address, please?
92 Tallowood Drive, Tallowood. Drive, Medford, New Jersey.
And do you swear, if you could just raise your right hand, do you swear that the information and testimony you're about to provide will be the truth, to the best of your knowledge, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. And you're testifying tonight in your capacity as a licensed,
Landscape architect.
and your licenses and certifications are qualifications are current, up to date, and in good standing?
It is.
Thank you.
I'm offering Mr. Carmen as an expert in landscape architecture.
Can you give us a little background?
Sure. Been a landscape architect, graduated Rutgers Cook College in 1988. So practicing landscape architecture once I got my license, 1990. And my area of specialization actually is in the design of therapeutic gardens in senior communities, dementia gardens, continued care retirement communities, hospitals, so forth and so on.
Great, thank you.
All right, Jack, so you prepared the plans or others under your direction?
I have, and in fact, what is it? They said deja vu all over again. So I had worked on the original garden 20 years ago. Now with the work that needs to be done on the bulkhead, we're back revisiting the garden. And like all things in life, things change. But the one thing that doesn't really change is the residents' involvement and interest in this garden. So the design of the garden really is a genesis of a lot of the ideas that were offered by the residents. Things change. We had a putting green. That's not anything that's of interest now. But the bottom line is, and it's Andrew said, this is their backyard. So they know very well, the caregivers, the staff there know what the residents are interested in. That's some of the reasons why we have the pavilion, more outdoor activities. They may do movie nights. They're very interested in gardening. There is an existing sculpture that's there. We're going to put that back in, take it out, put it back in. Residents had personally paid for a water feature. That's going to be saved, put back in. There's additional water features. I know one of the comments in the T&M letter was to try and introduce more native plant material. We can do that. A little bit difficult at times because, again, this is their backyard. We're not looking to put in any plants that are invasive in any way, but they like to garden. So they've asked for roses. They've asked for flowering trees. Hydrangeas are big. So we try to accommodate that as best we can. They were a little bit upset because some of the trees that they're fond of have to be taken out because of the work that's being done, but we're going to try and work with them. We are working with them to try and put back those things that they enjoy. So it's kind of an overview of the overall promenade. Andrew had talked about, John did, that socialization is so important. So fire pits, outdoor sitting areas, pathways around, again, a lot of amenities that you may actually probably more than you would have in your average backyard.
So there's a portion of the plants that are native.
Some of them are native. We have oak trees, basswood, ornamental trees that are going in. But again, it's a balancing act. But you know, we want to attract the birds and the butterflies in there. That's all part of it. Some of the residents are birders. They enjoy watching the birds. It's all part of their home.
So could you just give a little more description of the walking paths that you'll put in and what the goal is to achieve with that?
Sure. Again, talking to the residents, gardening is one of the main activities that they enjoy doing. So you can see that through the pathways. This is all a tinted concrete. It's important to tint the concrete so you don't have a bright glare as we all age. Well, think of it this way, coming out of a movie theater on a bright day. That bright white concrete is hurtful to the eye. So tinting the concrete is very important. You mentioned ADA accessibility. There are no steps out here. Seating, 18, 19-inch seat height, so it's comfortable to get in and out of. Shade is important. That's why the pavilion is an important feature of the promenade garden. Artist renderings are wonderful. It looks like it might be a fall display right now, but it's not quite. but we have a variety of larger shade trees, ornamental trees, colors important, perennials that, again, that are going to attract hummingbirds, butterflies, other birds into the garden. You can see the fire pits. The end of the promenade is really a prime gathering space because people like to sit and watch. You talked about the pontoon boat. People like to either be out on the water or enjoy looking at the water. So, and again, just a variety of opportunities for people to wander about in the garden.
A picture of what it looks like now. I'm looking at one online. I'm not sure if it's accurate or not.
I don't have an existing, yeah, that's it.
That's it?
Yep.
Okay. And I found that on the website for the atrium.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good
So
marketing.
That was your last design?
That was the last design.
Yeah.
Time for a change.
You mentioned gardening can be very therapeutic for the residents. Are you going to have any vegetable gardens back there?
There are, thank you, there are a couple raised planters along this side. So whether the residents want to garden within those, or again, they may tuck in some plants here and there. Herbs, there's a lot of herbs listed on there. So the culinary staff might be able to use those as well. The idea is to really, for the residents and for the staff, to use the garden as much as possible. I can get into the research of reducing stress, lowering blood pressure, natural absorption of vitamin D, balance of circadian rhythms. Those are all the important things that happen out here that we don't talk about, but are important parts of life, our overall well-being. And I'll shut up.
And Jack, you did a program where you spoke with groups of residents and came to this?
I
Give
was
the board
there.
a flavor of what they asked for.
I was there last week and we did talk to some of the residents about some of the other gardening activities. We'll be meeting with them again to show them the plan, but the idea was to get through the planning board, get approval, and then show the board, show the residents next steps, what we want to do.
Any other questions for this witness? Any questions from the, come on, hold on.
You know, we're just going to swear you in. Come on up and
Okay, my name's Linda Cohen. I live at 28 Riverside Avenue and I look down on your garden, Jack.
you know what, we're just going to swear you in.
Quite lovely.
Linda, good evening and welcome. Do you swear that the information and testimony you're about to provide, to the extent you provide any, will be the truth, the best of your knowledge, to help you God? Thank you.
Do down on your garden, since my apartment is literally on the top floor
Okay.
and I'm able to look right down
Into the mic.
on the property. And I just want to say that the garden is quite beautiful.
Thank you.
And your 20-year plan, since I've watched it for the last 20 years, has been beautiful. My only concern was that I was questioning about the boat traffic right in that little area there. And basing it on how our dock is set up next to the dock here. But it looks to me like it goes out further than the dock at the Navasink, I think. So it looks lovely, and if you do as good a job on this as you have, that's it. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Great.
That's a
Thank
little bit
you.
of pressure.
Can you send us a letter so Jack can get a raise?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, any other questions from the public? Close that part. Yeah, on to the next witness.
Andrew Janu, our planner.
Quick question.
Oh,
What's the dock entrance on the rendering? Is that it at the bottom?
It would, through here by the pavilion, and then the boardwalk would come down this way in the lower
So
part.
there's a boardwalk and then the dock.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Andrew Janu.
Good evening, Mr. Janu. If you could just state your, raise your right hand and state your name and address.
It's Andrew Janu, Janiw, 315 Highway 34, Colts Neck, New Jersey.
And do you swear that the information and testimony you're about to provide will be the truth, the best of your knowledge, to help you God?
I do.
And you're testifying tonight in your capacity as a licensed
professional planner.
And your licenses and certifications and qualifications are current and up to date and in good standing?
They are.
And I think the chairman is going to ask if you could just, we have a lot of new board members, if you could just, even though you've been here many times before, just so the new board members could be familiar with your background.
Absolutely. I'm a principal in the firm of Beacon Planning and Consulting Services, have been for the last 28 years. I have a bachelor's and master's degree in civil engineering from the New Jersey Institute of Technology. I am a licensed professional planner in the state of New Jersey, as well as a member of the American Institute of Certified Planners. Currently serving as the planner for Freehold Borough here in Monmouth County, for the Borough of Carteret, the Township of Livingston, and redevelopment planner for South Amboy and Bayonne. In 2022, I was appointed to the State Board of Professional Planners by Governor Murphy, and I've testified throughout the state of New Jersey as a planner.
Great. Thank you.
I'm going to offer
Thank you.
Mr. Janu as an expert in planning.
We'll accept them.
Thank you.
Andy, Mr. Janu, we asked you to review this application and be here to provide testimony in support of the requested variances in the site plan.
Absolutely. So in preparation for this application, I've visited the site. I've reviewed the review letters from T&M, as well as your ordinance, your master plan, and some of the history related to this site. As the mentioned, and I'll try not to be too repetitive, the property is within the waterfront development zone, which permits single-family homes, multifamily dwellings, professional offices. The atrium at Navesink Harbor is an age-in-place facility which provides independent living, assisted living, and skilled nursing care within a variety of age-in-place units. The use and structure are pre-existing non-conforming uses which were approved by variance by the Red Bank Zoning Board. The marina is a conditionally permitted use in the zone, and as was testified, meets all the conditions associated with the use. So tonight's focus from a planning perspective are on the expansion of the pre-existing non-conforming use, which would require a D2 variance, as well as the three bulk variances that are associated with that expansion. As was mentioned, the promenade is existing, and what's being sought to do this evening is to do a reconfiguration of that promenade to include a roofed pavilion, which with open air sides that'll provide for covered seating, covered dining areas for approximately 80 residents at maximum capacity. There will be a reconfiguration of the walking paths, of the gardens in there, and I'll get to it a little bit more, but the pavilion will have a roof that's greater than 500 square feet, which requires us to treat that as a principal structure, not as an amenity or accessory structure. So that's what triggers the variance relief related to the coverage as well as the setbacks. As we mentioned, we're going to modify some of these amenities. I think that was explained in detail by our landscape architect and our engineer. So specifically, we are seeking the D2 variance for an expansion of a non-conforming use. We're seeking a parking variance for 162 spaces provided where 168 are required. And this is triggered by the addition of full build out of the marina. However, the 162 spaces are existing, and those marina spaces, as was testified, will be for the exclusive use of the residents. With respect to the flood hazard area, the pavilion is within a flood hazard area. Your ordinance requires a 35-foot setback for a principal building to the flood hazard area. Because we're in that, we are a zero condition. And finally, with respect to lot coverage, 35% is permitted, and that this is essentially building coverage, where 38.1 exists and 40.7 is proposed. That differential is essentially the roof on the pavilion. But that pavilion is currently a concrete structure. So essentially we're putting a roof over a concrete structure. We're not increasing overall impervious. As a matter of fact, in speaking with the landscape architect, we're actually reducing overall impervious from approximately 73% to 70% because of the reconfiguration of the gardens. So while we'll have more roof area, essentially we'll have less impervious area. As I had mentioned, this is a age-in-place facility, and some of the things that we're trying to do are really looking to take advantage of the very unique situation of having such a facility on a waterfront. It's a rarity, and the residents there recognize the benefit of being in such an area and are asking to have amenities that are enhanced by the quality of life that can be had on a waterfront. These include more time, more socialization along the riverfront, having a covered area where they're not constantly seeking shade, or having sitting areas, fire pits for socialization. And of course, the marina is something not only that they've expressed an interest in, but I think from a marketing perspective for an age-in-place facility is certainly going to attract citizens who either like to boat or have boated and looking for places to. So once again, it's a very unique situation. It's a unique location. And it's something that we're looking to enhance in terms of the quality of life for the residents there. Essentially the promenade is to the rear or riverfront of the building. The amenity space was last updated, as was mentioned, approximately 20 years ago. And as the residents talk and comment, they seek new ways for social interaction, new modern amenities such as fire pits, which probably weren't even heard of at the time. So we are looking essentially to address these concerns and to make this something that's very current and livable for the residents and for future residents. In preparing for this evening, not only did I look at your ordinances, but I've looked at your master plan. Your master plan is actually very much on point with what we're proposing to do. On page 100 of the master plan, in terms of strategies and recommendations, one of the strategies is to provide a diverse range of housing options across income, household size, and age groups. Then the section specifically has the following language, and I'll quote: diverse housing options in terms of price ranges, number of bedrooms, services, and amenities for all age groups and those with special needs meet an essential need of the community. This range of options also helps enable existing residents to remain in Red Bank as they graduate through the various phases of life without being priced out. Maintaining a housing stock that can serve a broad spectrum of community helps to ensure that living in the borough is attainable for those who are just starting out, as well as seniors who have raised their families and seek to maintain residence in Red Bank. We're on point with that. This is a waterfront senior community. You can age in place in here from independent living to assisted care to full skilled care. It can provide and does provide waterfront views, waterfront activities, and we're hoping to enhance the waterfront activities that will be provided as part of this. It is, quite frankly, a very unique situation to provide an enhanced age-in-place facility that takes advantage of its very unique location. We also have to look at the municipal land use laws. As this board knows, variances aren't granted for the sole benefit of an applicant. There has to be some public purpose. The municipal land use law outlines 16 purposes of zoning, which are the public purposes associated with variance relief. A is to encourage, and there are 4, I believe, apply here. A is to encourage municipal action to guide the appropriate use of all lands in a state in a manner which promote the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare. The use that's there today, when it was granted the variance, was recognized as an inherently beneficial use. And repeated so much in your application number Z9023 in 2010. The resolution related to that, Z210-15, referenced the J-Bar case. And the resolution cited that providing housing for senior citizens is an important public interest. Inherently beneficial uses, which I'll discuss a little bit later in detail, are recognized as universally of value to the community because they fundamentally serve the public good and promote the general welfare. In this instance, we have a use on the property that was recognized by this board as an inherently beneficial use, and we're seeking to enhance the experience of the residents of that use through the expansion of promenade amenities with a covered pavilion, outdoor activities, and something that would benefit from those that are active right down to those that are experiencing mobility issues. It'll be ADA compliant. It'll have waterfront access for people that are wheelchair bound. So when we look at an inherently beneficial use and how to enhance the quality of life for the seniors, I think we're absolutely on point with that. Having said that, a due to variance relates to the specific nature of the variance relief we're seeking, which is related to essentially the expansion of a non-conforming use by means of the pavilion. The pavilion, because it's more than 500 square feet, is a principal structure, and that would be read in terms of D variance relief as an intensification of the use, even though we're not really changing the intensity of occupancy, the number of bedrooms, the number of cars introduced to the site. That'll all remain the same. But we do have to look at one of the quite frankly, special reasons when we look at a D2 variance is promoting an environment that's on point with the neighborhood, that's visually attractive, and we're on point with that. Within the MLUL, is to promote a desirable visual environment through creative development techniques and good civil design and arrangement. The promenade will enhance plantings, garden areas, and amenities, soften its appearance, and the entirety of that will be very much in keeping with the surroundings, with the Riverview Towers, which I believe are to our west, and then that we talked about further with the Molly Pitcher. They have pavilions. The Riverview Towers, I believe, has a pool and a pavilion directly on the pavilion next to ours. There are marinas there. These are all integral to the waterfront experience in Red Bank, and I think it's very much in keeping with the environment and what's common in these areas.
Excuse me, can I ask you a question? When you're testifying and you're talking about the master plan and all these amenities, are you talking about just the promenade area, or are you talking about also the 20 boat slips?
I'm talking just about the promenade.
Just the promenade.
The D2 variance is related to the promenade.
Okay.
Yeah, the boat slips are conditionally permitted and we meet all the conditions. L is to encourage senior citizen community housing construction. This obviously is a senior community with an age-in-place type of operation. That's certainly beneficial to the community. And in fact, what's happening here is now a reinvestment to modernize the amenities and to create socialization and amenities to meet current needs of the residents. And finally, M is to encourage the coordination of various public and private procedures and activities shaping land development with a view of lessening the cost of such development and to the more efficient use of land. So we have a promenade that's existing there today. We're not expanding the promenade. We're not making it larger. The promenade issue that's triggering the variance relief this evening is the pavilion that will be have a roof over it to provide shade for the residents. It'll be open air, but that essentially creates the expansion of the non-conforming use. I would add that because that promenade's there and the sole thing that we're doing that triggers this variance is adding a roof to a structure over a concrete deck that's existing, certainly it's an amenity that's there, and it's on point with M, where we're taking something that's cost-effective, cost-efficient, and improving the quality of life for the citizens in that building. So I had mentioned inherently beneficial use in terms of what this building was found to be. A building that's inherently beneficial naturally satisfied the positive criteria for the much more stringent D1 variance. And these are uses that are considered to be valuable to the community because they fundamentally serve the public good and promote the general welfare. We're here tonight, though, for a D2 variance for an expansion of that use, and the criteria changes a little bit. The D2 criteria essentially focuses on the relief that's sought for what's viewed as the intensification of the use. What's triggering the intensification? In this case, it's the changes to the promenade through the addition of a pavilion. So when we look at the D2 relief, the standards turn to Coventry Square and Town Center v. Randolph. And essentially those basically, the use is permitted. Are you doing something that's consistent with your neighborhood character? Does it enhance the visual aspects of it? Is it something that makes it a little bit more compliant than the variance relief that was granted for the D1? And then finally, the focus shifts then to the accommodation of the site for the intensification of the use. And does it meet the two negative criteria in terms of, is it something that's done without detriment to the neighborhood or to the community? And is it something that's not detrimental to your zone plan or master plan? So when we look at the impact of the roof cover over the promenade, essentially what we're saying is that creating something that creates a negative view from the riverfront? Because you only see it from the riverfront, you don't see it from the street front. Is it something that intensifies the use of the building or the non-conforming use? No, it doesn't. I mean, it's for the residents. It enhances their quality of life. It enhances their socialization. But it's not something that's going to create new traffic, new trash, new noise. It's an existing facility. It has the promenade. We're enhancing the promenade through some additional structures that are to the benefit of the residents that are already there. When we look at the negative criteria, are we doing something here that the site can't accommodate? Are we creating additional drainage? Are we creating any additional problems with this? We're actually reducing the overall impervious coverage. While we're increasing building coverage, we're reducing the overall coverage of the site. We're not creating anything that's going to be a negative impact upon the neighbors. As a matter of fact, I was happy the neighbor spoke before I got up to say, I love what you did. I hope you keep doing it. And when we look at your zone plan and your master plan encourages this. It recognizes the provision of all levels of housing with an effort to keep people within Red Bank. Red Bank is a river forward community. This winter, I've never seen so many people show up for ice boating in my lifetime. It's fantastic, and this is something that will take advantage of that. So I think it's on point with what your master plan seeks to promote in terms of keeping people within Red Bank and providing opportunities for senior housing. So when we look at the D2 variance, I certainly think that can be granted without detriment to the public good or to the zone plan and master plan. That takes us to the C variances. There are 3 C variances, and C variances are adjudicated under one of 2 terms. There's the C1 or the hardship variance, which is a result of a unique situation, a unique shape and topographic conditions, or a pre-existing condition that we can't do anything to cure. I think that's an appropriate way to judge the fact that we are within a flood hazard area. We can't change that. We can't provide a 35-foot setback from a flood hazard area. The entire promenade is in that area. What we're adding is a rooftop pavilion. I don't think it's going to create any issues in terms of the flood hazard area. I mean, the pavilion's been there. It's been enjoyed by the residents in its current configuration for the last 20 years. And certainly what we're doing is not going to create any additional issues with respect to that. However, we can reconcile all 3 of the bulk variances also under the C2 criteria. And the C2 criteria is what's known as traditional balance test. Under the burdens of a balance test, there are 3 prongs of the positive criteria, which are that the application must relate to a specific piece of property, and it does. That the purposes of the municipal land use law would be enhanced by a deviation from the zoning ordinance. And I read 4 purposes, which I think we do advance with this application. And finally, that the benefits of the application outweigh any detriment. Clearly, the benefits of the application are to enhance the lifestyle of a senior community that includes assisted living care and full care units, and providing those residents access to the waterfront, to sunshine, to gardens, and to those types of amenities, which again are unique to this location because it is riverfront. We also have to reconcile the 2 negative prongs, which are that the variance can be granted without substantial detriment to the public good. And I don't think anything that we're proposing here is a substantial detriment. We're creating something I think that'll be more visually attractive. The designs of our landscape architect have been well received over the years, and I think he's done an outstanding job in creating a very receptive area, both for small seating groups and larger socialization within the promenade. And then we look at whether this will substantially impair the intent and purpose of the zone plan. Again, it's my opinion that this is on point with the intent of your zone plan to provide a variety of housing for citizens and to create opportunities for people to remain in Red Bank as they age through. So when we look at this, the 3 variances that we're seeking, the first is for parking. We have 162 spaces. The marina triggers an increase to 168 spaces. Again, we're not opening the marina to the public. These will be only offered to residents of it. That's not going to create any additional traffic or burdens on parking. So I would think that's a de minimis impact upon parking, and the 162 spaces that currently operates with would remain, and that condition would remain unchanged. With respect to the setback of the flood hazard area, 35 feet required where 0 is proposed. Again, that entire promenade is within the flood hazard area. There's nothing we can do to change that. And the promenade's already used as a socialization area. We're just looking to enhance that and to make it more attractive for the residents. And finally, with respect to lot coverage, we talked about the roof taking the lot coverage from 38.1 to 40.7. However, there's a 3% reduction overall coverage. So the roof over the concrete basically essentially changes the category from impervious to building coverage, while overall impervious is being reduced by the enhanced gardens. So when we look at that on balance, I think it's a better alternative, and we're creating a benefit in reducing the overall impervious coverage on the site. So when we look at those three bulk variances, I think on balance, they can be granted. It is a better zoning alternative, and I think it'll be wonderful for the residents of the community.
Any questions from the
Yes.
board?
It's, thank you. I think you clarified this, but I just want to be sure I understand. So the variances being requested have to do with the parking in the pavilion. The boat slips are,
They're a conditional use, we meet all the conditions.
so boat slips can be constructed irrespective of how we vote on the variances.
That's
Okay, so
correct.
they have nothing to do with what we're voting on.
That's correct.
Okay.
That I thought we said the boat slips generated the requirement for the parking variance.
Well, the parking variance, the boat slips, if they were available to the public, would generate the part. What our argument is, we're creating boat slips, but we're not opening to the public. They're only going to be open to people that already reside there. So, and that's not a condition of the boat slips. That's an independent bulk variance related to the community. The boat slips are permitted. They meet all the criteria. I think it's 6 points of the conditional use criteria. None of them related to parking. What triggers the parking variance is the boat slips. You're not voting on the boat slips. You're voting on whether the applicant needs to provide more parking if those boat slips are constructed.
Well, the plan is, I'm confused more now because, yeah, you're confusing me.
Andy, perhaps you could,
Yes.
Right, so if you weren't going to put the boats, but the 20 boats back there, you wouldn't need a variance for the parking. Am I right?
That's correct.
Okay.
We
So when you say
currently
that you
satisfy-
meet all the conditions, what does that mean?
So, let me just, let me go through the conditions. I thought the engineer kind of went through the conditions, but I can do that again.
what do you need?
All right, I mean, I think I get it.
Yeah, so
But for the 20 slips, you wouldn't need the parking variance, right? I mean, that's basically what
Correct.
I'm
that's
understanding.
that's
That's
correct.
correct.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
The boat slips are limited to the people who are already there.
Yeah, I mean,
So
do we
you're
think
not attracting
Mhm.
more parking requirement.
Well, do you think people who have boats invite their friends on boats? Right? You have a 40-foot boat, not going out by yourself. Are you going to have guests? Is it fair to
Well-
say that they're going to have guests on their
But the
boats?
facility operates today
With
with
guest
those
parking.
same people and guest parking.
Yeah, I don't think it's unfair to say that it's going to generate more guests by the fact that you have a 40-foot boat in the backyard. Right? You get more friends. I don't know what the old saying is, but you get a lot of new friends when you get a boat. It's like a lot of people like to be passengers on a boat, but not own a boat. And I'm one of those
There's-
people
there's no
personally.
issue.
So, I was just trying to clarify.
You live
that.
in town, so you can walk there. You don't need
Well,
to get
it's
the car.
funny because I do, and I've launched from Maple Cove, on my paddleboard, several, and I go left. When you come out, are you familiar with Maple
Yes.
Cove?
Yeah.
So I launch there, and there's a lot of traffic, and I have to go left because the boat traffic can't go under that bridge there. Can't go under is it Cooper's Bridge? So, and there's a lot of us that do that. Kayaks, families with kayaks, little kids, stand-up paddleboards. And then you also have the sailboats that are moored directly out front there. So that's what I'm more concerned about. I look, the landscaping is beautiful. I mean, it's beautiful. So I really have a concern about traffic, boat traffic, also your guests. I think guests will increase greatly, quite frankly. That's just my opinion. You put 20 very nice boats back there. I think you're gonna have a lot of people back there with the beautiful pavilion and food and fire pits and all these things. I think it's gonna be more popular than I think we're alluding to personally. But I'm sorry to stop you there, so please.
No, no.
If I may,
Yeah.
the approval for the docks is primarily rests with the NJDEP. Those applications are submitted, and we anticipate approval based on the status of that application right now. So that's something that the DEP would manage if they thought that the boats were not safe.
Yeah,
actually be surprised that they would allow that, knowing that the channel there is so narrow and that's sticking out that much farther than all the other marinas. I'd really be shocked that they
Well,
allow that.
that, there also, this particular series of docks is set further from the
know,
riverfront. riverline.
I've been over that area. I don't know how many hundreds of times. So I'm pretty familiar with it.
If you weren't in a kayak, you probably couldn't get there,
I'd
right?
be shocked that they allow it 75 feet beyond what the
Well,
other docks are there.
One of the things that our client has asked is that that dock can be built in phases. So they want to, if it doesn't, if there's not a demand, I think it would stop at 6. 4. You have 4, there'll be 4 more. Sure.
So we did a review a few months back with the Corps of Engineers and NJDEP, and we specifically went over the river and where the channel ends. It actually ends on the docks of the neighboring property, and it doesn't come into effect at all with our property. So they had no concern over that.
I have a couple of questions. I don't know who to direct it to specifically, so anybody who knows the answer, please stand up. We just have a section, you submitted an EIS. Was that a Collier's
That's a Collier.
report? Can you, item 7.5 on page 8 of our report, can you talk about the public access and the deed restrictions? You described that there's an existing public access from the roadway towards the southern part of the property, is that right?
Yes, so the existing public access starts at Riverside Avenue, traverses parallel with the southerly property line, and then comes into the conservation easement that is east of the promenade.
Okay, and I'll get back to that public access in a second, but are you changing anything with a conservation easement at all? Is anything being,
No, we're
Okay.
not, we're not proposing any disturbance in the conservation easement.
okay, so is the public access sign, is there signage required at all by the state? Like, how do people know that they can publicly go back there?
What the borough wants. Isn't that that's the borough easement that at one of the prior applications we granted?
Feeling that's the DEP waterfront development public access that was probably required back in 2010, maybe?
Well, this is that's the Riverwalk too. This property has already granted an easement for the Riverwalk.
But the Riverwalk easement is usually along the river. You have public access from the road, existing public access from the road.
I think Jackie, so, Kevin and I actually were going through this today. Back in 2010, this board had agreed that if the easement could not go along the waterfront, the applicant had to find an alternate route for the access easement, even though it wasn't touching the water. So I'll bring it up. It was written weird. Kevin.
I guess my question, and maybe the landscape architect who was here before. I don't know if it's public access, should there be signage that tells the public that they can access the water? If it's public access, because from the pictures, it looks like it's just part of your development and it's not something that you would grant public access to. Does that make sense? And I don't know if I just wanted to point that out to the board. Is that something that the public should be able to access?
Well, the easement that was requested at the prior approval for Riverwalk was granted, issued, and filed and recorded, accepted by the borough. It's now in place.
So then, yes. So the
So
public can
you-
access.
Public can access it. But I understood throughout the time of the Riverwalk access or Riverwalk issue that there was a recognition that the Riverwalk would have to be somewhat connected and completed in order to be really effective for the public.
But
And
you're-
part of the whole situation, as I understood it, was an attempt over the years to gather these, to require applicants to give away the land for the easement,
Right.
for the access to the borough. When our client was, that proposed to our client, we met that standard. I don't think there's anything
I'm not
left
asking
for us to do on that.
Asking if it should be signed. Do you understand what I'm saying? That there's a sidewalk that goes from the street. And it's public access to the back. Are you allowing I'm assuming public can then walk in there.
There's nothing, yeah, someone can do that
So-
because
so
they
the-
have the rights under the easement, but we don't have a sign out there saying walk back
Okay,
here
that's-
because you have no place to go. You'll turn around, you have to turn around and go back.
I don't know if that's the.
You're basically saying in the spirit of public access, does access really mean access if the public doesn't know they have access? And so I think the question is, when you negotiated the easement with presumably the borough, if the borough, I mean, number one, 10 years ago, if the borough required the signage, it's probably in there. And I just don't know if it is in there. I haven't seen that documentation.
No,
to my
I
knowledge.
would have to refresh on
Right.
the easement, but all of the Riverwalk easements are contingent upon the Riverwalk being completed. At this point, our clients were one of the first ones that came in during that ordinance and granted what was requested.
So the.
We don't really want to, I don't see a real need today to invite the public to walk there and have to turn around and walk back. I mean, there's no place for them to go except in basically the 170 residents' backyard.
Well, actually, the atrium does use their pontoon boat. They launch from that area. They pull up, right? People go to the
But they don't
conservatory and they
know that-
walk in. So the public could, if they knew, they could say, hey, if my friend had a boat at not Irwin's, but if they had a boat in Rumson or somewhere and they wanted to pick me up, I could walk to the atrium. I could walk down the easement and wait there and he could pull in and pick me up if I so wanted.
Good.
Now, whether or
As long
not
as you
the-
stay in the borough's property.
Oh, right.
Yes.
As long as I fit down there, and as long, I guess, as the atrium pontoon is not picking up and dropping off their passengers, because that's what they do as a matter of
Well-
routine now also. So there will be some congestion there. I
Yeah,
guess
because in any boating arrangement, you can only put one boat in a
Yeah.
spot at any one time, so
Right,
you have to sort of wait.
yeah. So I understand your point. If the public knew about it, would it be used more? Perhaps,
And I think his point is, it's only there once we have connected
Yeah.
all the waterfronts, so.
Yeah.
Potato, kind of like. chicken
And,
the
and
egg.
that
Well,
was,
all I'm saying is
that
there
was-
is more to it than just walking down there and turning around.
that's
Residents
what,
could go down
that's
there.
what can happen.
Yeah.
But that was never part of what was asked when we're building, our goal is over, and I just had this happen for the hospital at the planning board. They're at the far end. You can't get to there because of Irwin, but they wanted the easement anyway. So I said, well, you got a hospital beds right next to it. So they agreed, the borough agreed to additional restrictions, if you will, in terms of noise and sound, and that they wouldn't have bands there and so forth, because the hospital bedrooms are right, the hospital rooms are right next to the, where the easement would be. In fact, it's going to be, they wanted it to be it's going to be a few feet less because that's all the land that was there before it got to the building.
Can we say that if the 2010 agreement required a sign, that they put up a sign?
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking, and let's just assume for purposes of this discussion that the application is going to be approved. I don't know that it is, let's just assume. I think, John Junko, you're saying that, I mean, one of the requirements of the condition of approval would be in accordance with that ordinance, you would provide the conservation easement per the ordinance, and you're saying it's already done, period, end of story. And we would just say, give us proof that it's done, but recorded.
Well, I'll happily submit it to the
Right.
board, but you have it in your files.
And I think that, to your point, if it's required, I mean, we're gonna have to make sure it complies with the ordinance. And we'll just, I mean, that's the easy way to do it, I think.
Well, it was submitted, reviewed, and accepted. It wasn't just like we just filed something. It was
Oh, I understand that.
an
I'm just saying- I'm just-
agreed upon form that was issued at the
No,
time.
I'm aware of that. I'm just trying
And
to
I can
close.
tell you that the form that
Yeah.
was done has changed over the years multiple
Yeah.
times.
No, I'm just trying to close out the issue by saying they put up a sign if
You
the
comply.
original thing asks for a sign, but if it doesn't, the hospital doesn't have to put up a sign.
And then, John, we
Just trying to
also,
close it out.
at the zoning board, because we normally, Shauna, would not deal with hospital applications, but we did last year with the building that had the tunnel through it, sort of, where you could see through that was demolished. And so that was technically a waterfront property that the hospital owned, and we gave them approval to use it as a temporary parking,
No, it's a permanent park.
permanent parking area. But we had that discussion about the easement too, and that was a condition.
Well, that was the
Right.
last application was for that particular area because it was a replacement of a generator and a new oxygen tank.
I think
Yeah,
that might have been the planning.
Yeah, the hospital had 3 applications last year. It was for solar panel, the generator, and for the parking lot. So-
And-
That was all part of that,
Yep.
that application.
Sorry, can I just ask one more question? I swear this is the last one. You currently have, well, it's a series of questions, but you currently have 4 slips there now? Oh,
No,
there's
they have an
slips.
approval for
Oh.
4. But 4 were approved.
No.
But they have not been built.
Okay, so none have been approved, right? And the 20 triggers the 6-car variance. So if you had less than 20, let's say, it would remove perhaps the requirement for the variance.
We're required to have 158 spaces for the.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, I'm sorry. The parking requirement for the configuration of the building is 158. We have 162 spaces, so we have 4 spaces more. So those 4 extra spaces would essentially be sufficient for 8 boat slips.
Great boat slips. And then you
Right.
wouldn't need a variance for parking.
We wouldn't need a variance for parking.
Okay, I don't
The
have it.
variance is triggered by the
By
additional.
the additional, okay, thank you.
If I could follow
Well,
up,
yes, but we're requesting, our application is not seeking that to be open to the public. Those are for people that are already residents and they're already in the count, already in the parking calculation.
Mhm.
So the argument that was presented is that this marina is not attracting third-party users. It's people who are the residents and their guests could use it. Just like residents and their guests today they can visit, they can have a meal, they can
No, I understand.
go
your
out to
argument. Yeah.
the patio that's there.
Yeah, and I would add, the parking standard for the units themselves, the 158, is consistent with the RISA standards. The RISA standards have visitor parking built into them. Because quite frankly, senior centers, assisted living, the skilled, they don't have a lot of demand other than visitors. People in the assisted living and skilled care units typically don't drive. So that 158 already builds into it pursuant to the RISA's calculations, visitor parking.
Got it.
Are all your parking spaces occupied? Would you say on a regular, or is it, you have a few?
When I visited the site, it wasn't, but from an operation. Oh, are all your spaces typically occupied?
No, all the spaces are not occupied.
Hey, this is Mike. Tell them your name so they know who's speaking on this.
Michael Lucurcio.
Okay.
Yeah, the significant portion of the spots are not occupied. And as somebody mentioned, when you have AL, memory care, skilled nursing, those residents don't have vehicles.
And I'd also like to point out the facility has valet parking. Has a security valet guy at the front desk. I don't know if it's all day, but it's certainly in the evening he's there. Yeah,
Correct.
to handle cars. So I've
Yes.
had a friend there and I park there regularly.
Mhm.
May I ask a point of clarification?
Go ahead, Gene.
The, if this variance is granted, the variance belongs to like the property, right? Not necessarily the owners of the property
Correct.
right now. And because, okay, I'm just want to ask for that clarification because I think a lot of the criteria we're talking about where, the parking is, it's not used as a commercial marina right now. It's for residents and their guests right now, pertains to the current property, but not necessarily the next property owner, right?
And that's an excellent question. And if I could address that, and then Mr. Junka, you could respond too. So again, just assume that the application is being approved. If it is approved, and I don't know that it is, but if it is approved, I think any variance that you grant runs with the land. So it doesn't matter if they're sold to another company, but they would have to comply with the terms and conditions. And I think if this application were approved, you would put in there certain conditions that it's not a public restaurant, it's not a public marina, it's not, and you'd put all those things in there so that you would narrow the parameters of what they're allowed to do so that the next operator that comes in is bound by those still same conditions.
Thank you.
Gene? You're good. Okay. You done?
I'm done.
Any other questions from the board? Any questions from the public? Close that part.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to ask the board to approve this application. I know you're surprised by that, but the fact of the matter is that what we tried to do was to address all the issues that were raised by your board engineer and to respond to the aspects of the application. I think we meet and exceed all of the standards that would be applicable. I think that what's happened here is that our client has a design, and they've worked very hard to make it something that would continue to make this a premier facility for its customer base, so to speak. There's multiple demands throughout the system for the occupants, and we have to, I think the board has to take into account that these are not super active people. They're more relaxed, and hopefully we'll all get there at some point. In any event, for purposes of a zoning and planning application, this application had the use variance was identified. It was previously granted. This board has already acknowledged that this was an inherently beneficial use. That kind of satisfies most of the use requirement. The second part was an expansion of the use, and I think we've demonstrated quite well that the facility itself, in terms of occupancy and services, is exactly the same that was granted, that this is a modification to an amenity or a recreation area for the residents that's already in use, but not developed to its full capacity. This is a plan to enhance that, to make it a benefit, more of a benefit for the residents and for their guests as they arrive. We have never, I can advise the board that I have never been involved with an issue for this site with parking, and that's rare for Red Bank. Usually parking is a significant issue in the commercial area. However, I think that during the testimony that was presented, that came out with the understanding that there were so many age-related residents that they aren't all driving today, and only a few of them have 3 or 4 cars. And that's a joke, of course. But the bottom line is, I think that what's happened with our testimony is that this application has addressed each and every condition before the board in terms of the variances. The use variances, we've met those standards. For the bulk variances, I think they're beneficial, and that's been demonstrated by not just our planner, but by landscape architect and our engineer. I think there's a very coordinated plan. Our client basically wanted this to continue to be the top and premier facility of this nature in our county. And that's what this is intended to do, is to keep it in that standard. I'm going to ask the board to approve it. It is a use variance. We need 5 affirmative votes. I think we've met all of the standards with testimony and with the presentation of exhibits. So I'm going to ask the board to vote in favor of the application. Of course, that's my job.
Jackie, you have have any comments? Any issues with?
I think the variance for the parking, they could eliminate if they wanted to reduce the number of boat slips. That's an option. So there's a possibility there. Everything else was addressed in our letter, through testimony, and they've agreed to revise their plans.
I've agreed to, okay. Any other comments from the board?
I just have a question. I know that you're waiting for the permit from the DEP, but you say you're confident that you're going to get that. I mean, how does this work if we vote and then the permit? Like, I'm curious about that, how that works.
Excellent question, if I may, Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
So typically, well, not typically, what we pretty much always do is on any approval, we say it's conditioned on getting all outside approvals, whether it's county planning board, field soil conservation, DEP, whoever. And then we typically have in there a concept for this very reason, that if the nature of the application materially changes or the nature of the relief materially changes as a result of those outside approvals, you need to come back. Like, for instance, if they said they were doing something that said, and all the driveway's gonna, I mean, all the traffic is gonna come in off of this road and go out this road, and then the county planning board changed that, that's not the approval that we, not the plan that we approve, so we would make them come back. John, I think you would understand and agree with that?
I do, but as, we already have county approval, we have the soil conservation approval, and our NJDEP application has been moved from review to action. So I expect it to be approved as presented. If it isn't, we'll of course agree to come back.
Any other comments?
Yeah, I want to pick up on what Jackie said. So if we separate out the variance for the parking, you could add 8 boat slips now. Is that right?
You know what? I'm having a hard time hearing you. I apologize.
You could add 8 boat slips now because you have the parking spaces, right?
4
You have 4 parking spaces for
4 slips, 4 boats.
4 boat slips. Okay.
No.
No, we can, I'm sorry. Yeah, we have sufficient it's 0.5 per slip, so we can add 8 without a parking
Okay,
variance.
yeah,
What
Now,
was presented was 4 would be phase 1, and then the balance 16 would be phase 2. And that's the way it was presented DEP in terms of phasing the construction of the slips.
So I'm just wondering, per Jackie's comment, if we could split out these applications, one for the pavilion for those 2 variances and one for the parking spaces. Because I'm kind of torn whether to vote yes on the parking spaces.
I mean, I think you're asking, and I appreciate it, to basically bifurcate the application per se. Now, that's not how it was been presented. So I think maybe have some more comments along what you're concerned. No, it's a totally fair question and comment. And I think the applicant's team is going to hear what people are saying, and then maybe they're going to propose.
Yeah.
Isn't there a way around it if couldn't one of us make a motion to approve it subject to there only being 8 slips, which would not trigger a parking variance?
I would ask that if you're going to do that, well, if you make that motion, I'm going to ask the board not to act on it.
Okay.
We'll conduct a parking utilization study and show you how many extra spaces are available, because even though there was testimony to it, there's no traffic report that said on a typical day, we only have 60 spaces.
All right, well, if that's what you want to do, you can do that. I was just trying to make it easy on you.
I think that
But-
we've met the standards, and
Okay.
I
We can
want you
do a
to
vote.
approve it. But if that's a condition, that's how we can address it. And I don't want to see a denial.
Well, I can see the improvements would be very beneficial to the community, and I can't really see any detriments to the community, except I am hearing some concern over, I guess, the size of the dock. So if anybody on the board has comments about that, I would love to hear thoughts or opinions on the size of the dock or anything like that.
Like I said, it seems it's out 75 feet farther than the dock closest to it, which I'll be honest with you, is pretty far reach out in there. That's my only concern. Am I gonna reject it because of that? Not sure, because that's a concern.
Vince, do you need me to answer that question? Because I obviously raised my concerns about that, so I don't think you need my comment on that.
I would say I share the concern about how far it sticks out and the boat traffic and how that affects small vessels. And I think what I'm thinking through right now is I think there's legitimate argument that this property owner does underutilize their parking. And so I don't know that denying the parking hardship as a proxy for the dock is something I would consider.
I would also comment that given the parking variances that I've been witness to the last year or two, this is probably the smallest one I've seen, 6 out of 168, 6 out of 162. I mean, we've given much larger parking variances. This is very small, my opinion.
So I guess, John, you've heard the comments of the board members, and it's up to you. Unfortunately, do you want us to take a vote now on the application that's presented? Do you want to take a minute and consider modifying the proposal, or do you want to take a time out and come back at a time so you can do more research and study on that issue?
Parking utilization. Let me speak with my client.
Should we just take a 5-minute break, or do you want to, do you need a break or no? Okay.
All right. Take a 5-minute break.
Had an opportunity to speak with your attorney, and I think he wants to address the board.
Okay.
So what I was told was the applicant is proposing to basically, in conjunction with what you were saying, Gene, is to basically ask for approval tonight with the understanding or the condition that it would be an 8-slip boat, 8-slip dock, with the understanding that you would, at some point in the future, if you wanted to increase the dock size, would come back on notice and basically have your parking circulation study.
Utilization.
And parking utilization study, and just do it at a different time. That's the proposal. Right. Now they're consenting. But Sean, so they want to basically get, sure, they want to, and John, confirm that what I'm saying is correct. They're asking for us to vote tonight and basically approve it with an 8-boat slip total. Thereby technically, Jackie, eliminating the parking variance. And let me just write that. But they want to reserve their right to come back in the future.
Not raised due to.
Technically as part of the same application, or but on notice, and then not res judicata, and basically say, hey, we have more information. Maybe at that point, they might have the DEP approval. They'll have the parking utilization study, and at that point, they want to amended application. Yes.
I think that's a good.
I would like to make that motion with the usual stipulations that you put in, Kevin.
Absolutely.
Parking barriers.
That are in it from 75
Yes.
foot.
No, it was 300 feet, so it obviously shortens it by How many feet will?
What would the length of the dock
will-
be?
Will the dock be now? Any clue?
Yeah,
Well,
that's a good point.
our clients don't anticipate that there will be any outside people coming other than guests of those residents
No.
who have a boat.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
the dock, if you're gonna put in eight slips, how far
Instead of paying a
past the
300
bulkhead
foot
will
dock.
that go out?
Yeah, like in other words.
So you're-
Not to
Yeah.
exceed.
Sounds
Your
like you have to-
engineer figure that out? If they're going with 8 boat slips now, how far out will that go from the bulkhead?
Right.
1 second, please.
Gotta figure it's almost half, it's gotta be maybe 150 feet or so, less.
Yeah.
Can't we just
I think it's fine.
4 times 80 feet,
We'll just get a not to exceed figure.
4 times 20 is 80, right?
It would be between 180 and 190. I'm scaling off this. I can provide a direct number to the board if necessary, but in that range.
So not more than
Can you
190?
say Not to exceed 190?
Got it.
Would that be the easier way to address it?
Not more than 190, be fine.
Oh, hold on.
Yeah, that,
If there's 8 slips and they're 15 feet each, isn't that 120?
Are you okay at 190?
yes.
Yes, no, 190 would give us plenty of, would be room for the 8 slips.
Okay.
And the 8 slips at the sizes that you talked about earlier.
Just draw a line through the plan that's there. The first 8 are
Got it.
coming in. What's left will be the next application when we get our DEP permits.
Okay, good. You want to
Sure.
summarize so we can make a
So,
motion?
I had taken the liberty of preparing some potential conditions. So some of them that our standard conditions would be compliance with all promises, commitments, and representations that the team made tonight, including the ones in the last 2 minutes. And that's important because if I don't say it now, if they said it during the hearing, it counts. Compliance with T&M's review letter. Jackie, any reason you need to review grading and drainage details, or that's already in the body of your letter? Got it. Okay. We have compliance with affordable housing rules, regulations, contributions, directives as our affordable housing regulations require. We talked about the outside approvals, and if there's any material change, you need to come back. Ultimately, we're going to need a professional certification from your design team confirming that the improvements were installed in accordance with the approved plans, in accordance with the testimony, and in accordance with the resolution. We'll have an as-built survey. We talked about the public access easement you're going to give us, and I know it's somewhere in floating in Borough Hall, but just if you can send that to Shauna and myself and to Jackie, and we'll just confirm that it's done in ordinance and the signage requirement complies with whatever the ordinance requires. We didn't say this, but it's implied, and we should say it, that compliance with all the terms of the prior resolution of approval from 2010, unless specifically obviated herein. And let's see, the marina is for residents only, and ADA requirements. You talked about the fire.
Residents can have guests, but.
Absolutely, and
The
guests.
boat ownership has to be resident.
Yes. And the fire department review and approval. Let's see, the pavilion, obviously, it's not going to be used as living space. That seemed more important when I didn't know that it was not going to have walls on it. Let's see. Jackie, you had said something in your letter about National Heritage Program. Do I have to worry about that? Or you said, why did you copy them? Is there any historical issue? Okay. And Jackie, your letter disclosed, hey, there's those new New Jersey height requirements, but I don't think that applies. And no work in the deed restriction or conservation area. And let's see, so some of the things we talked about tonight. Oh, I wrote if Mr. Junko's okay with it and Andy is okay with it, if you could send me your outline. And then let's see, we talked about The public access easement remains unmodified. It's the capacity, even though you're saying it's 80, approximately 80 people, would have to comply with the construction code requirements. Again, we talked about not open to the public, just the residents and their guests. And then just in terms of compliance with the noise ordinance, I mean, there's no loudspeakers out there, no anything like
Yeah,
that.
it's a pretty wild crowd. They get rocking around 12:30, 1 o'clock AM.
It's the noise ordinance, amplified music, all right. Docks limited to the residents and guests, the residents. There's no, just where we're going, there's no rental of boats, there's no storage of boats, there's no services performed, there's no restaurant in the marina, no boat storage on display. Let's see, I'm not going to be any type of gas dispensary. I mean, I don't think they allow that anymore. And compliant signage. We talked about downward lighting. I'm going to have a little bit more on that later on. We're having, Jackie, I don't have to worry about anything with EV parking? Or did I just say apply it? Okay. Okay. And no, John, you said no boats, no boat trailers, no boat services, repairs, and all of those things. And to your point earlier, if it gets approved, they have to operate within what we're going to call the operational parameters of what we have all discussed tonight. I call that sort of the intensity regulator. It is a use variance, so that's why you all have pinpointed and asked for very specific information, and all that information is going to be drawing the box within which they have to operate, and it will be binding on successors and assigns. Even if we didn't say that, that would be compliance with the flood regulations and ADA regulations. Let's see, it's open walled. All right, fire protection per the code, comply with the no invasive plantings. And I think the implication was, which is clearly not going to be a problem for you, but we usually have in there that you have to perpetually maintain and replace and replant this landscaping. And clearly that it's in such a beautiful condition. I don't think that's, we have downward dark sky lighting. I think that was the term that we're using. No adverse light spillover, downward directed LED lighting. And then we talked about putting them on lighting a motion sensor or on some type of timer. And the bulkhead is being replaced in kind. Okay. Andy, I wrote get outline again, so I must really want your outline. Let's see, and then we're getting down to the information that came up. Just after the break, which would basically, well, let me see. That stuff was, we're going to revise the plans to say 8 slips only, the dock not to exceed 190 feet. And we're going to eliminate the parking variance. And we're acknowledging that they can come back on notice, and that it's not going to be a res judicata issue. So we can't deny them just because, for that reason. And I think that's it. So John, are those conditions generally acceptable?
I think they're overbearing, but we will certainly accept them.
Thank you for the compliment.
Mr. Junk, I appreciate you addressing the concerns of the board. That's a big deal. I think you guys did a great job with the promenade, and, you know, the atrium's a great building. It serves a great purpose in this town. And
And I think
I'll make a motion to approve per per Mr. Kennedy's, stuff.
Burdensome conditions.
I'll second.
Ray Mass,
Yes.
Jonathan Gilday,
Yes.
Vincent Light,
Yes.
Paul Cagno,
Yes.
Eugene Horowitz,
Yes.
Chris Havens,
Yes.
and Dorothy Cirillo.
Yes.
Or Carrillo, I'm sorry.
No worries.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
Third. Yeah, there's a copy and I'll send you electronic.
Thank you,
tomorrow.
thank you.
Thanks.